All right, good morning. We've had, a chance to get out of camp, and we had a really good camp. I thought it was very productive. We got a lot of things that we wanted to get accomplished, especially where we were trying to focus our football team. And now we're in the Cal, and we're in game week, so it's finally here. We get to find out a little bit about who we are as a football team in the way we prepare this week in practice, and then when we go on this trip.
Larry, this time last year, Cal had a brand new coaching staff. Presents all kinds of unique challenges. How do things change in terms of prepping for them now that you have a season under your belt?
Yeah, well, you have some film to look at and actually figure out how you want to game plan it. That makes it a little bit easier. They're going to make some tweaks and changes, according to their talent, but they're also, you at least have the base things. You know exactly, basically what they're going to do. So, it's same for them. It will be better for them in this go around. Their second year in the program.
Coach, do you have a status update on Aaron Crawford?
What do you want to know about him?
Will he be able to play against Cal this Saturday?
I don't talk about injuries.
About Michael Carter? Just have to ask.
I don't talk about injuries.
You've had a lot of time during camp to sort of prepare for knowing you're going to be shorthanded as far as with suspensions and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, after the scrimmage and you started working with the refs, did you feel like you got a pretty good handle on how you're going to have to accommodate having fewer numbers for this
Yeah,
first week?
I think so. I think we had, I think our plan, we didn't go to it in being surprised. We knew what was going to happen. We knew when guys were going to be out, so we started putting together a plan then. And the plan, we were able to work the plan pretty well through camp. And we got out of that first scrimmage and we started adjusting those reps with guys, and I think it's been good. Now we'll see on Saturday if it was a good plan or not.
Have you ever been in a situation where you've taken a team 3 time zones away and the logistics that are involved in that and how you would adjust to the time change? And
No, I haven't. I have not been in this position before.
have you sought counsel of other coaches, or are you just kind of playing it by ear at this point?
Oh no, I've sought a lot of counseling from coaches, sleep specialists, you name it. I've talked to a lot of different people. Yes.
Do you have any details on how you're going to do the travel in terms of that, in terms of sleep schedule, in terms of?
I've got it. It's very detailed. Am I going to give it to you? No.
Any
but
tidbits?
it's very detailed.
Okay. Any tidbits you want to grace us with?
No.
Is it any easier in that this is the first game of the season, you can kind of adjust accordingly as opposed to being in the middle of the season and having to make a trip like this, or is it still just as difficult?
Well, I've never done it at the beginning of the season or in the middle of the season. I would prefer, if I had to pick, I would choose for it to be at the beginning of the season than in the season. A 5.5 hour flight, or basically 11 hours in the air, is not something that I would want to, deal with our team in the middle of a season. So, unfortunately, we don't have to.
You guys have a lot of depth and experience in the first 4 spots, the interior defensive tackle, both tackle spots. But when you get to the 5th guy, Zach Gill, and maybe some of the other younger guys, how have they progressed during camp? And is Zach ready for a big assignment?
Yeah, I think so. I think both Zach, Jaleel Taylor, the other freshman that's inside, I would say Gavin Lewis is probably behind those 2. But I think, probably surprisingly that Jaleel Taylor really did some nice things during camp and showed that he can help us if we need to put him in the game, that we can get some solid reps out of him. Same thing with Zach. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we want those guys to play 40 snaps in a game because we really don't. And, but I think both of them will be able to give us some quality snaps during this game.
Where did you settle on backup quarterback and the depth chart behind Nate with Chaz out?
We'll settle it out here probably in the next few days is when we got to make a final decision. But it's, we're starting to get there. I'm not ready to make that call yet, but we're starting to get there.
Do you anticipate a lot of true freshmen getting snaps right off the bat here?
We'll travel quite a few guys on this trip, and I think that we may have we're going to have some definite guys that get on the field. I think as true freshmen on both offense and on defense, and then definitely on special teams.
You You got a number roughly, like half dozen, or just kind of?
I would be guessing because I hadn't really thought about it. I hadn't really looked at it, but I do know if I went back and just really thought about who, you know, I think there's no doubt that William Barnes is going to play at some point in the game. I think you will see, there's a chance you could see Ozudu play in this game. I think you will see Javonte Williams play in this game. I think you'll see De'Ami Brown play in this game. You'll see possibly Antoine Green play in this game. So, I mean, you know, as I'm just going through positions, I mean, defensively, I think you could see Bryson Richardson. I think you could see DeAndre Hollins. I think you could see Javon Terry. I think you could see Trey Morrison. I think you could see Jaleel Taylor. I think you could see Chris Collins. I think, yeah. So you see, I mean, it could be a bunch of them, yeah.
The other way, but quicker just tell us who's not gonna, maybe not gonna say.
Yeah.
What have you liked? I mean, you weren't the only one who's talked about Javonte Williams. So what have you liked about him? What has he done?
I'll tell you the thing that has struck me the most is he's so mature. He has handled a lot of situations that we put him in very well. They haven't flustered him. Doesn't mean he hadn't made any mistakes. He's made mistakes, but the way he's handled those mistakes has been very, very mature, not like a true freshman. He did that in the spring when he still was supposed to be still in high school. And so he's a different individual mentally. He's able to handle pressure. He's able to handle those situations without getting flustered and still be able to do his job. And so that, to me, is probably one of the most impressive things about him. He can carry the ball. You know, another thing was he was really good in pass protection. I mean, he's really good. He picked it up well. His technique is good. All those things, which is typically the most difficult thing for a running back coming out of high schools because they don't get to do a lot of it in high school. But he was natural for him. And so I just think his maturity level is the thing that's been the most impressive thing.
Your program has had a lot of success with guys that maybe flew under the recruiting radar. Javonte would fit into that. Does he have some of those same traits that you saw early on from a guy like Mac Hollins, who ended up turning that into success?
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, Mac coming out of high school, I'm not sure how many people saw what Mac ended up doing. I didn't. I mean, but Mac developed himself into being who he is, and you know, that's why he's got a Super Bowl ring on his finger. You know, Javonte, probably a lot more heralded than Mac was coming out of high school. You know, people knew who he was, and he was MVP and played really well in a lot of big games and all those things. So, but you know, the thing that has struck me the most is just his maturity level and how he's handled all the situations we put him in.
How about Antonio Williams? What have you seen with him this month?
A kid that is bought in completely, that's thrilled to be here, that loves being home, that is excited about playing, and you know, is a kid that is starting to, you know, establish himself as a leader on this football team. So, which has really been neat to watch.
What do you remember about just recruiting him early on and him committing so early, and wasn't there a feeling with you guys that maybe he's committing too early and might lose his, you know?
Well, anytime you have a young man that commits really early, it's always something you worry about. It wasn't just Antonio Williams. I mean, that's a tough thing wherever you are. You know, any kid that you know, commits early, you know, at some point you worry about the process and do they get bored, and how do you keep them involved so they're involved in the recruiting process as they were before, and because they're not getting the same attention from all the other people. And so you always worry about that.
Larry, any clarity at your punt return position?
Yeah, we're going to go with Daz Newsome. We're going to go with Daz Newsome, and then probably Ratliff will back him up, you know, and you could see maybe both of them in the game.
Anthony told us that he's been pushing you to be able to return punts. Did he win out?
He's always pushing me. He's always pushing me for everything. He wants to be out there and everything. Every chance you can put the ball in his hands, he wants the ball in his hands. And so that's one of the things I love about Ant, you know, is that he wants the ball in his hands, and he knows he can make plays, and he can help his football team. And so it's not that he's won out, but he's proven that he can do it, you know. And so, you know, I'm sitting there watching last night and watched T.J. Logan catching punts. And I never even put him in that situation ever, you know. Never even thought twice about it, you know. But we also had a pretty good one at the same time. So, but he did some good things.
How do you envision tailback for this game, like rotation? And
yeah, it'll be probably by committee is what I would think. We'll play multiple guys. I think we could probably play up to 3 running backs throughout this game. You know, as far as how many reps each one's getting, how many carries, how many touches, all those, a lot of that will depend on them and what they're doing in the game.
Do you have a starter in that, or is that determined?
I think we're still to be determined there. Maybe depending on what's called, you know, what we decide in our script, what's going to be called.
Those 3 guys make an assumption that it would be Antonio, Jordan Brown, and who? Javonte.
Who's going to be your second kick returner back there with Anthony rather than Williams?
It would be Daz and Diami.
Okay. And have you named a punter, starting kicker?
Hunter Lent will be our starting punter, and Freeman will be our starting kicker.
Thanks.
Being that Aaron Crawford is the leader and had the best spring,
Yeah.
was it tough to see him go down?
Nothing's changed on Aaron Crawford. He's still the same guy he was in the spring, and he's still you know, a leader on our defense, and he still brings that same energy every day.
Anything else? When do you want to have an official depth chart together going into this Cal game? Do you want to have that together by a particular day?
Official like what? What do you mean official? Like, so when I know who's going to be on the field?
Yeah, for every position?
You know, I would say probably Thursday or Friday, you know, that we, and that means, and I'm also talking about, you know, our 2 deep, where the, you know, who is going to be that second quarterback, you know, is it starting to make a final decision? You know, I have to do it by Saturday, right? But, you know, if I get to it by Thursday, we're good. You know, whether you'll know about it, I can't tell you. That'll probably be Saturday, probably, I would think.
One more thing, Nathan Elliott, with him knowing the whole camp that he's going to be the
Yeah.
guy, was that a benefit, do you think, now that he had those weeks, you know, knowing it's,
You got to make it a
gotta do
benefit. I've, you know, for me, who I've been dealing with quarterbacks for a long, long time, and so I have a way that I like to handle quarterbacks, and I've always liked quarterbacks having to compete, you know, always until they have really separated themselves. So in this situation, the separation came quickly, and so he knew he's going to be the guy. So now it's it's not like I'm competing for my job as much as I'm competing to lead this football team. So I'm competing every day to make sure that I'm the leader of this football team. I'm the leader of the offense. I make sure this offense does what we needed to do. I need to make sure that we take care of the football and move the chains. Those 2 things.
Last couple, Ross and then AJ.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of maybe not an issue, but something along college football about kind of secrecy surrounding programs. Obviously, you have no 2 deep. You know, there's only limited access to practice.
Secrecy, I like that.
Yeah, and I was just kind of wondering your thoughts on that, your perspective on it. I know why you don't like to talk about injuries, but other aspects of opening up practice,
for
scrimmages, and like spring games. You know,
yeah, we're pretty paranoid.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like that our opponent knows as much as I do about our football team. I don't like that. I don't like that. So I don't see a reason why you should give your opponent any advantage whatsoever as they prepare for you. So, you know, that's the way I am. I've been that way my whole life. I don't see a need in doing that.
What about opening up stuff so that fans can have a better grasp of your program and kind of figuring out what you're doing? I know it's kind of balancing those 2 things, but is there any thought about that? Maybe it increases hype and support for the program when you open things up more and provide information that might be valuable to them.
That's a good point.
Last one, AJ.
As a head coach, you've never had the kind of season that you had last year. So as you get ready for your opener, are you any more anxious than in previous seasons going into an opener to sort of cut the cord from that? Or
Yeah, that's a great question. It's really, I was thinking about that the other day, and the way I sleep right now, and or the way I don't sleep right now, and I was thinking, you know, it's in 1986, it was exactly the same way, and the things that I think about right now going into this game are the same things I was thinking about when I was coaching high school football in the mid '80s and at Garland High School. I really haven't changed. The anxiousness, the anxiety, all of that's still there. I will what if myself to death in every situation possible. You know, what happens if this guy goes down? What if they do this? What do we do here? What do we, you know, because I don't want to leave any stone unturned. And that's just the way I'm built. You know, it's just the way I'm built.
But with what happened last year and just kind of maybe the need to personally cut the cord to that, it doesn't change anything at all for you?
It doesn't change anything for me. It's no different. The pressure that I feel right now is the same pressure I felt in '86. I mean, that's just the way I am. It's more about, you know, to me, it's you have a philosophy and you believe in your philosophy, and if you really believe in it, then you do it, and you don't worry about other things. You know, and you work to be the best that you can be, and you coach your kids and you teach them so that they're prepared for every situation. And those are the things that I worry about. You know, is there going to be a situation that comes up in a game that I haven't thoroughly covered enough for those guys? Because there's going to be some guys that I just pointed out, they're going to be out there for the first time in their life in a college football experience. And that's a tough thing. You know, I can remember a kid that was through here a few years ago that was a first-round draft pick that the first time he went out on the field as a freshman, I mean, his feet popped and he fell down. And the guy he was covering ran right by him.
Who was it?
There's no reason to talk about that. But I talked about that with the staff the other day. You know, they're freshmen. I mean, they won't react exactly like you think they're going to react every time. You know, they're freshmen. But that's to be expected. So we got to prepare for it. Thank y'all.
Okay, so he's either a defensive back or a linebacker.